My name is Nassime Saabs.
Okay, I was one of the Army's first space intelligence officers because they developed their space intelligence program at around 1990, and they were looking for strategic intelligence officers to go into it. And I was looking for some new adventures, and I said, okay, I'd like to go into space. So I went to the Army's Space Institute and became a 3Y skilled officer, which is their space activities designator. They didn't even, it was so new that the Institute didn't even have its own classes. They actually punted me to the Air Force, which had a joint space intelligence course that they ran in Colorado Springs at Peterson Air Force Base. And that's how I became qualified as a joint space intelligence officer. And after that, I was assigned to J2X at Headquarters U.S. Space Command at Peterson Air Force Base, which is the major headquarters that has sub-headquarters for NORAD, the North American Air Defense Command with Canada, and, of course, the command center there at Cheyenne Mountain. So I worked there from 1990 to 1994 as a J2X officer, and that was just prior to my retirement from active duty. I thought that was a kind of a good way to finish things off.
Excellent.
So your question is, okay, are there UFOs?
Correct.
For a start. Okay, I got a simple answer. There sure are. And I can say this for a very simple reason, that out there at Cheyenne Mountain, our job was to look at absolutely everything up there in space. NORAD, of course, came into existence to originally look for ICBMs that might be coming over the North Pole towards Canada and the United States from the Soviet Union. But its mission got bigger and bigger until it was required to actually look at everything up there. And if you think about it, there's an awful lot of crap up there in space. And some of it comes from Earth in the form of space junk from all the scores and scores and scores of launches and discarded pieces of metal, over the years that's up there in orbit.
Oh, yes.
And is deteriorating all the time. And there's also all kinds of crap that's passing Earth from otherwheres, from out there in space. It's zipping by the planet, and some of it gets into the atmosphere, and the stuff that's in the atmosphere will either bounce off or burn up, or if it's big enough, it'll land as a meteor somewhere. But to make a long story short, there's an enormous amount of this. If you'll Google something like space junk on the internet, you'll get a rough idea of what a huge amount of garbage there is out there. And we simply cannot track or identify it all. It was coming into our screens all the time, and if somebody pointed at a blip that was going through at a high rate of speed and said, okay, what's that? I haven't the foggiest idea, General. In another 30 seconds, it'll be gone. So the mission of Space Command with regard to UFOs, for you UFO buffs, was really quite simple. We ignored that crap unless there was some reason to think that it posed a danger to the United States. So if you saw something that was big enough and entering down here and looked like it was, headed for a big city or Washington, then you would pay a lot of attention to it in a hurry.
Right.
But other than that, we just screw it, I mean, there's all this stuff going on out there. It's like it's like trying to watch the LA freeways. Good luck.
Wow.
And that's kind of the attitude that we have. So yes, there was an enormous amount of UFO activity up there rather. And some of it could be accidental, some of it could be deliberate. Some of it behaved very coherently, but even that is a kind of a hard judgment call to make, because you think you're seeing something on a radar screen that looks as though it's intelligent activity, and it may not necessarily be that at all. So while I was there, 1990 to 1994, we did not have any invasions, is what I can tell you that.
Understood, yes.
We didn't have anybody that we had to scramble the jets and go up and try and shoot it down. But
that's a good thing.
As far as UFO activity, sure, lots of it.
So you don't believe we are alone in the universe then?
Well, I think that statistically it would be crazy to say that, and Carl Sagan would agree with me, I'm sure. And if you look up there and you statistically look at the size of the physical universe, that objective universe that I was ranting about earlier, it's pretty damn big.
Oh, yes.
And the odds that we are the only planet in all of that's developed, functioning life forms is almost ridiculous.
The former chief juvenile investigator at the Presidio, Ed Abanovsky, is here. He's now a deputy sheriff in Santa Clara County. Colonel Aquino, we note, sir, for the record, that you were originally implicated in the dreadful charges of child abuse. We note also that no charges were ever brought against you, and presumably you have been cleared. Would you like to comment on why those charges were brought against you?
Well, the entire time that the so-called child molestation scandal was occurring at the Presidio, the time period when these terrible events were supposedly taking place, I was assigned to the National Defense University in Washington, D.C., and my wife was out there living with me.
But is it not a fact that a 3.5-year-old girl identified you as the alleged perpetrator of molestation?
No, as a matter of fact, it is not the case. An accusation was made by her stepfather, who was an Army chaplain, speaking on behalf of this child. In her original interview with the FBI, she denied ever being molested.
Well, I've seen you are innocent until proven guilty. You were never charged in this case. I don't want to belabor the point. I have seen, however, the affidavits for the search warrant of your home, and they indicate the child is speaking to the authorities, not her father.
This was after she had been subjected to therapy.
Let's say you are innocent of that. You are no longer at the Presidio. You are now in St. Louis, but you are still a serving officer or colonel in the United States Army. Do you feel it is inconsistent with a high-ranking officer sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States that you are also a practicing Satanist?
Not in the least. The Army has known of my religion for the last 20 years. There has never been a problem with it, any more than there's a problem with other members of minority religions.
But let me read from the Satanic Bible. Quote, this is the number one, commandment. Death to the weakling, wealth to the strong. How can you believe this and still uphold the Constitution of the United States? Death to the weakling?
Well, for one thing, what you're looking at there is a highly polemical book that was never meant to be taken literally in all of its commandments.
Father.
Yes, and I'm aware of that, and I'm also saying that members of the Church of Satan understood that much of this book was in the form of a polemic. It was a statement that was dramatically made, but was not intended to be taken literally in all its respects.
So we should not take this book literally.
Correct.
That all of this is connected. And all of this is focused on one very religious goal, okay? These people have a religious goal, okay? Their life goal is a religious one. And if you want to know exactly what it is, go to your search engine, look up Lucis Trust, L-U-C-I-S Trust, United Nations, okay, and then after that type in Luciferian initiation. So in the United Nations, this was a real true statement coming from the United Nations itself that says worldwide there will be a grand Luciferian initiation for all people, and it will be the only way for you to enter into the new age of the New World Order, and that all people across everywhere will have to undergo the Luciferian initiation in order to live in that world. This is coming from the devil. Okay, that is a religious statement. That is not an atheistic statement. That is a religious statement. And the religion is based on worshiping fallen angels and devils And the religion is based on hating the one true God, Jesus Christ, the Father in heaven, the Holy Spirit. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. This is why everything evil, hypocritical, disgusting, gross, nasty, wicked, upside down, insane, and crazy thing that the governments across your world do is because of their religion. The devil is a real creature with arms and legs and eyes and a head and hair and a mouth and eye and a nose. Okay? Fallen angels are real creatures with a mind and a voice that can speak and walk and fly around and go to different places. Okay? Their religion involves worshiping these fallen satanic Luciferian creatures as God.